This week on Supercars Talk, I complain about some safety car changes relating to Bathurst, run through the back half of the field for Bathurst, and apologise for not having a co-host that I promised. First things first, I did promise I'd have a co-host to run through the field with me for the Bathurst 1000. Unfortunately, he's fallen ill and had to have some minor surgery during the week, so he's not feeling up to it. Get well soon, but some good news. I have got a prize for the big Bathurst giveaway. I did mention last week, down in the comments, who you think will be the podium place getters. I have found a prize to give away. Competition's open to everyone. First in, best dressed. If you do pick the same as somebody else, no one has yet. There's been probably some predictable kind of combinations in there. Nothing too out there yet. No one's picked Percat for the win yet, which is interesting. So this is the prize. This has come from my personal collection. It has been rolled up for a while, so it does need flattening out, but it's in very good condition, and that is a genuine Peter Brock signature on there from 1997 on his final tour. Unfortunately, the car is Greg Murphy's, but that is 100% signed by Brock. It is very genuine. So that's up to grabs, up for grabs for, you know, whoever can predict the top three or whoever gets closest to predicting the top three. And truth be told, I'm going to enter the competition with my predictions there. So if I win it, I'm going to stick it up there. No, it is open to everyone though, so that's there. Before I get into my predictions, there has been a change to the safety car regulations for Bathurst, and no, not a great one in my view. Lapped cars are going to be allowed to go back through and get their lap back during safety car procedures. I'm not sure why they're doing this, other than it gets the lap cars out of the train. So if you've got a situation where the first place has just overtaken a couple of guys and put them a lap down, you know, they then get their lap back to make it a little bit more interesting. But also then, especially towards the end of the race, you then get the opportunity, you know, that if there is a couple of cars between you and second place, you can kind of scuttle off into the distance while second place has to overtake those guys. It takes that away, but also, you know, you could make a rule that's within 30 laps of the finish or something like that. If there is a safety car and lap cars are in the way, you could shuffle them to the back. You know, they're not going to get themselves back in the race at that kind of later point. So to me, this is just something Formula 1 tried it a couple of years ago, and other than, I think it was Webber in a British Grand Prix where he actually ended up coming back through and finishing second. Other than that, it was just an absolute waste of time, because you had to wait forever for the guys to come around and rejoin the queue, or if you let them go too quickly before the safety car got out of the way, then all of a sudden the leaders would just be catching these lapped cars within a lap or two, and it was causing more problems. Yeah, okay, I'm all for giving things a try, especially this year, but yeah, is it something that we really need? As for a long time I've been saying, if we're going to change anything to do with the safety cars, I would much prefer it to be that if we need a safety car, yellows come out, pit lane gets closed until everything gets neutralised, rather than this safety car's out or safety car gets called and then everyone's racing back to the pits as fast as possible past the crash zone, other than Fabian Coulthard, because of obviously debris on the track, and he has to go at snail's pace and hold everyone up. You know, other than that, everyone's blazing as though it's a qualifying lap, when if there is a major incident and you need to get, marshals and medical people to a car as quick as possible, they could potentially be on the track while these idiots are trying to do, qualifying laps to get back to the pits as fast as possible. So, you might be able to overtake someone or something. So the safety car's out for a reason. You shouldn't be driving fast. That one seems simple to me. Another quick bit of news for the week. Apparently the 3-race sprint format on the weekend is likely to stay next year for a lot of the rounds. I suppose it's good. I've actually enjoyed the shorter sprint race. I think certain circuits do lend themselves to having longer races, of course, and some of the bigger events, like maybe Adelaide and Townsville and things like that, maybe they should still have their longer races. Adelaide, I didn't like the 2 sprint races on the Saturday afternoon and then the long race. I like Adelaide as 2 longer races, but I think probably one of the best years was around, I think it was 2015, Winterbottom's Championship year, where they had a shorter race on the Saturday and then a longer race on the Sunday. I'd prefer to see a bit more, not that 60-60 format, that was ridiculous, but I think I'd prefer to see 2 shorter races on the Saturday and then 1 longer race on the Sunday. So maybe on the Saturday we have somewhere 60-60 maybe, somewhere between 50 and 80 kilometres. I wouldn't quite go to a full 100k race, so but then have a 200-250k race on the Sunday and have that kind of format for most of the rounds of the year. As I said, maybe Adelaide is a bit different, and maybe somewhere like Symmons Plains, maybe you have 300k races or something like that, because it probably, that might not lend itself as much to a longer, kind of 250k race. Give it a go, see what happens. But that's probably what I'd like to see for the formats. And the other bit of news before I get into the Bathurst preview, there will be 22 Super 2/Super 3 cars at Bathurst. They're going to have 200 it's actually not 125 Ks now. I think it's about 115 Ks or something like that. The races, they've made them a bit shorter because of the fuel window on them, so that they don't have to stop for fuel. It's going to be split in half, 11 Super 2, 11 Super 3. No Eggleston cars coming from Victoria. Apparently it was going to, I think the figure floating around was it was going to cost them $40,000 essentially to do the quarantining for the team, because they need so many personnel for the 3 cars. Somehow Matt White Motorsports going to get up there, so we'll probably see Randall win the championship. Depending, there's still talk that there could be an extra round of the Super 2 Championship for the year. At least with the combined field, we are going to see 22 cars, and it's a good support category to watch. Time for the Bathurst preview. Now, I'm going to go through the lower half of the field today, and what I've decided, not so much this is where they're going to finish, but I've taken the bottom half of the team's championship and just going to run through these guys. Pretty much, I don't think there's anyone in this list that's going to, I wouldn't put them as a podium getter. When you look at the top half of the field, it is a very, very stacked field this year. I think you might be a bit surprised when I actually run through it at, some of the pairings that you kind of go, well, really, they've got no chance, because you just look at the Triple Eight lineup. But that's what we'll get into next week of them. So starting at the bottom and working our way up is, surprise, surprise, Techno is last in the team's championship. So we have Chris Pither and Steve Owen. Steve Owen sat out last year, so yeah, that probably gives you a bit of an idea of where, he is. They're going to be down the bottom. Also, I'm not going to look at the Gary Rogers pairing, because I've covered that previous weeks, and we don't know if it's going to happen or not yet. And then in the other team car, we've got the Wrong Davison and the team boss, Jono Webb. You know, a couple of years ago, you would have said this was a pretty strong pairing at Bathurst in the, you know, the equipment that they've got, and yeah, they're both getting on in age, and that, yeah, they're not going to trouble the scorekeepers too much. Then we've got the Matt Stone Racing team, Gary Jacobson, yeah, the bus driver, and David Russell, who's another one who sat out last year. It's funny, I didn't realise David Russell had had such a long career. He has been around for a long time and had quite a lot of good co-drives there at Bathurst, but never troubled anyone, ever looked like he was going to get a full-time drive or anything. You know, at least Steve Owen did have a full-time drive in the main game for a little bit. So, yeah, I'm not expecting anything from that pairing. And Jake Kostecki and Zane Goddard. Zane Goddard's one of the rookies in the field. Yeah, it is what it is. Brad Jones Racing. This is the second team of Brad Jones Racing. We have the Jack car, Jack Smith and Jack Perkins. Once again, you know, Jack Perkins was probably a guy that was, you know, up to the task a few years ago. He hasn't got faster with age. He's in a less good car. I think he's going to be a good pairing with Jack Smith, though. Quite level-headed. You know, if Jack Smith does the right thing and listens to Jack Perkins, you know, they'll finish the race. You know, a top 15 would be a good day for them. In the other Brad Jones car, we have Macaulay Jones and Tim Blanchard. Yeah, top 15 will be a good day. They're not bad. They're not actually bad pairings, but yeah, when you look at what's coming up, yeah. Then I was surprised how low the Kellys are in the championship, but then also you look at who's ahead of them, and it makes sense. So we've got Jaime and Dylan O'Keefe in one car. Dylan O'Keefe is a rookie. He's been doing McGann TCR stuff overseas this year. Yeah, just he was okay in Super 2 last year. I think he finished 5th in the championship. Not bad, but I think there must be money changing hands somewhere. And the same as with the lead car, we've got Rick Kelly and Dale Wood. I'm pretty sure that those GB galvanising stickers that are on the front quarter panels, I think, of both of the Kelly cars, I think that's Dale Wood paying for his Bathurst co-drive. Once again, though, Dale Wood's very safe pair of hands. Rick Kelly, I mean, he's won Bathurst twice. You know, they're not slouches, but in this field, really, if everything falls the right way, either of the Kelly cars could end up on the podium. But if it is an outright slog all day without, you know, a heap of safety car intervention and that, they're co-drivers, and then even the lead drivers, they just haven't got the pace to outright go with the lead guys. Next up, Team 18, Winterbottom and Jimmy Goulding. It's, once again, good pairing, but yeah, this, you know, Winterbottom's, if he's past his prime, that's kind of all you can say about it, really. And Jimmy Goulding, he's not a bad little young bloke. If he was in a Triple 8 car, he's in a Triple 8 car, but if he was at, you know, the mothership Triple 8, you might see him do some really special things. But yeah, I can't see him being a full-time driver that's going to challenge for championships. In the lead car from that team, I guess, we've got Scott Pye and Dean Fiore. I assume that Dean is bringing money of some kind of description to pay for that. But, you know, these are guys who, yeah, I'm not going to be surprised if they're somewhere between 5th and 10th. But if you've got to go running flat out all day, they're just not going to be in the mix. And the final team to look at today is Walkinshaw Andretti United. In the second car, we've got Bryce Ford and Kurt Kostecki. Kurt is surprisingly a rookie in the main 1000. I'm pretty sure he's the oldest of all of them and has the most experience and all of that. I think he's a rookie. I don't recall him actually starting in the main 1000 previously. If the top 10 is going to be a really good day for them. Bryce has got, I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the top 10 shootout. But then I wouldn't be surprised to see either of the Kelly cars in the top 10 shootout. But as I said, when you look at the rest of the field, these guys they're going to make up the numbers, really. And then we've got Chaz Mostert and Warren Luff. Every year I put Warren Luff down and say he's getting too old for this. I can't see it. And then he gets on the Bathurst podium. I think he's out of the last 6 years or something. I think he's been on the podium like 4 or 5 times. It's ridiculous, his score rate. And, Chaz has been dragging the arse of that car up the front of the field. Technically, Chaz had pole at Bathurst last year. It got every chance of being a standout in the top 10 shootout. And I'd say out of all of the pairings in this bottom half of the field, I would put them at the greatest chance of a podium. And I say this every year, but if Warren Luff has to go toe-to-toe with some of the other car drivers that are on the top half of the list, he's just going to get blown away. But he gets to Bathurst and there's something in those, maybe it won't work as well for him this year because Chaz is there and, the setup direction seems to have changed a bit in those cars. But you never know. He seems to get in there and he seems to be able to go toe-to-toe with whoever of the co-drivers get thrown in there. So, I can't see it happening, but, stranger things have happened over the last few years and he just keeps getting on the podium. So that's my bottom half of the field preview. Don't forget, if you want to be in the running for this lovely... I'll try and flatten it out before I send it as well. I have got a bit of a collection of posters, believe it or not, from over the years. This fancy Peter Brock signed poster from 1997. If you really do hate Peter Brock and you're just going to chuck it straight on eBay, let me know if you are the winner, because I might be able to dig out something, from the blue side of the ledger. But down in the comments, tell me who you think are going to be the podium getters for the great race. There is some entries already entered in there from last week. So whoever gets in first with their combinations, they get the prize first. If they're, as I said, we haven't had any double ups yet, but there is chances that someone will pick the same people. But it is a very stacked field. So, when we get into the preview next week, you'll really see how hard it is to try and pick a top 3. So that's it for this week. Until next time, I'll see you later.